Hi guys, little video update from Folkestone. Standing in front of my present I got for my 50th birthday, which is this lovely canvas print of Monet. Yeah, it's been quite a year, and yeah, things are going pretty well. Health is doing well, business is doing really well. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit, I guess, about, some of the kind of overarching sort of formula secrets, I guess, to, progressing with liver flushing, because, it isn't a quick journey. Your liver has thousands and thousands of tiny little ducts, which have kind of, held on to toxins for your entire life. And, as you cleanse, and as you do liver flushes, that movement of toxins and debris has to sort of come forward out of the tiny ducts. It takes a long time for the bile to sort of clean them out. And, one of the myths that I've kind of realized is that, you're not holding all these, thousands and thousands and thousands of stones all at the same time. You are making new stones in between flushes. Sometimes really the state of your gut dictates, how much your bile is almost immediately turning into sludge and stones. So it is a little bit more complicated. People are not walking around with, huge swollen livers. I mean, that can happen. But I would say it's not the main issue. And when you see these kind of giant stones coming out, it's not that they have existed in that shape and size in your liver necessarily. It's that a lot of it is just coagulated bile and cholesterol that's been squashed and squeezed into certain shapes as it comes out from the liver flush. That's not to debunk the liver flush at all. I'm, the number one advocate of doing this protocol, but it's just to understand that, your liver and gallbladder will keep making sludge and stones until your bile flow starts to become more kind of consistent and thinner and has less saturation of cholesterol. So I just wanted to talk about kind of three principles today that in my kind of long history, I've been doing this process now for 8 years. My long kind of history of experience with this protocol has taught me. And the first thing is, if you want to get this process underway and you want to get the benefits quicker, you really need to be concentrating on how to stimulate your bile flow each and every day. This is not just something that you do for a liver flush. This needs to be part of your lifestyle. So, every day I am looking at 3 or 4 different ways of stimulating my bile flow. And that might be using, cholagogues or choleretics, spices or herbs or tinctures that help me to stimulate bile flow. And that's because every time your liver makes new bile, the bile acids and the bile salts are the compounds that break up the cholesterol sludge. And so every time your gallbladder releases bile, it washes over and up the common bile duct, and any stones or sludge that are sitting there will help to dissolve that and kind of thin it and break it up, so it can be flushed through either, when you eat food and your gallbladder releases bile to digest your food and your fats, or when you do a liver flush. So that would be my first principle, is what can you do every day to stimulate your bile flow? And you will have better results if you think about that daily bile flow stimulation. Secondly, is to think about the gut environment. So what are you doing every day to improve the state of your microbiome? And it might be looking at what you're eating. Obviously, cutting out processed foods and simple starches and refined carbohydrates is one of the best things you can do. But it's also looking at, have you got a lot of fermentation going on in your gut? And likely, if you've got poor bile flow, you're going to have a degree of bacterial or yeast fermentation going on in your gut. So what can you do to improve that gut environment, whether it's what you're eating, whether it's supplements like a probiotic or butyrate or colostrum? And third, I would say, is persistence and not getting derailed or distracted by some of the retracing or detox symptoms that come up. There are always going to be symptoms that come up after a flush because that is the nature of what the flush is doing. You're not just releasing stones and sludge in that moment, but you're also behind the stones and sludge in the next few days. Your liver ducts are opening up and they're going to be releasing their toxins and their debris and their acids. And that's very inflammatory. It's going to mount an immune response. And if your drainage pathways are still struggling, then you are going to either retrace those symptoms or you're going to be experiencing new symptoms. And often they are kind of inflammatory in nature. But it's very easy to sort of get distracted by that and then just start chasing those external symptoms. So, for example, if it's a skin issue that comes up, or if it's a depression, or if it's anxiety, if it's a mental or emotional issue, it's to then start worrying or chasing after that specific symptom. I have a massive laundry list of about 20 or 30 different detox and retracing symptoms that have come up after a flush. Everything from flu-like symptoms, aching, temperature, pain, to developing long-standing ringworm, which hung around for maybe 6 months to a year, acne under my eyes, particularly around the gallbladder sort of meridian. I've had aches and pains. I've had headaches. I've had depression. I've had anxiety. I've had, I've had gastrointestinal symptoms that have gone on for months and months. And after a while, you learn to understand that these are just historic symptoms that are coming up and your body is dealing with them. And eventually you'll do a particular flush and the symptom will just resolve and it will go away and something else might come up. So don't get distracted. Don't start problematizing and pinning the blame on the flush itself, because all the flush is doing is revealing to you the underlying state of what's happening in your gut and your liver, and you shouldn't be frightened of it. So, I've done over 300 flushes. At some point, I realized that retracing was inevitable. Of course, you can use things to help that. You can use binders, you can use bile thinners, you can use soluble fiber. All those things are really important and you can help your gut environment, but you can't avoid those things completely. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here. Do let me know in the comments if any of this resonates or it's helpful. I am offering lots of different types of coaching on Instagram at Naturally Wells. Do hit me up there. I run beginner programs, advanced programs, and I do one-to-ones. And I'm also working on energy medicine and EFT tapping coaching for kind of nervous system regulation, because we know nervous system is something that gets dysregulated when you are detoxing. So have a fantastic day. I hope this video was helpful. I will catch you soon.